Hello friends, Bota Bob here, and I found something on my tractor this past Friday that seems to be a little bit of a problem. Now my tractor is about 10 to 12 years old, and I think I had my first part wear out from normal wear and tear. So I'm going to show you what's happening. Bear with me, it's going to get a little loud. You might hear the tractor over me. And I'll try to make sense of this in the editing. So let me show you what happened. I'm going to start the tractor up. So, I have the tractor running, and now I'm going to turn the key off. The key is in the off position. Let me show you. It's in the run position. Now it's in the off position. You can see the tachometer registers. This is the tachometer and it's blank. You see how that went? Now I'm seeing 1800 RPMs. Now it's off. I did some troubleshooting today, and then I came out to verify my troubleshooting. Using my workshop manual, tractor rotary mower front loader for the BX 1850, I went in here and I looked at the electrical schematics. Now I told you it wasn't an electric issue, and what that means is when you shut the ignition switch off, it doesn't, there's a sequence of events that happen that make make the tractor shut off. But it's not like a gasoline engine where it stops the firing of the spark plugs to shut down an engine on a gasoline engine. On a diesel engine, when you move it from the on position to the off position, a relay kicks in, and that causes a solenoid to move a armature, or I think it's called an armature, that will turn off the fuel. And when no more fuel is going into the engine, to the injectors, that causes the engine to stop running. So, in the manual, in the workshop manual, there's a schematic, and I'm going to put a picture of the schematic up. And there were four things that I looked at mainly. The first thing is the main switch. Is the main switch working? How do I know the main switch is working? Well, I can see the gauges stop working when I move it from off to on, and when I turn it from off, when I turn it from off to on, it lights up. When I move it to the next position, it fires the glow plugs, and when I move it to the start position, it starts the tractor. So the switch is working. Plus, I did some other tests that I'll show you later that I verified the switch was working. So the next thing I did is I checked all the fuses in the fuse panel. Now that probably wasn't necessary based on the one test that I confirmed that the tractor is working properly. And so you got number 7, that's 7 on the schematic, it's the main switch. Number 16 is the solenoid. I suspected the solenoid was bad. Number 1 on the schematic is the fuses, so I checked all the fuses in the fuse panel. And number 13 on the schematic diagram is the timer relay. And I'm not quite sure where the timer relay is at yet, but I suspect it's under the gauge cluster, because I heard the relay energize and de-energize. You can hear that, there's a clicking sound. So I'm gonna take my tractor apart, and I'll be back and I'll show you what I did to isolate the problem. So this is the solenoid. This is what's bad. And what happens when you start your engine, this plunger on this solenoid is going to be out, and down below it is the, and I'll show the photograph of it. Down below it is the fuel shutoff for the injectors. And what happens when you turn your switch from on to off, you get a 12-volt signal on this white wire right here, and you'll get 12 volts on that when you move your key to the off position. And there's a timer in here. Even though your switch is off, there's a timer and a relay that puts 12 volts here for like 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds at the most. And once that timer times out, the 12 volts will disappear from this the white wire. And that's all in the workshop manual. When the plunger goes in, you can't see this. You'll just have to take my word for it. It moves that armature down there, which shuts off the fuel to the injectors. Okay, so I'm going to show you how you can check this real easy. So I'm going to show you a couple of ways to troubleshoot it. This is an inexpensive. In fact, I got it for free from Harbor Freight. Went in, bought some other stuff, and there was a coupon, and this was a $15 or $16 multimeter that I got for free from Harbor Freight. Great deal. Another tool that you could use is one of these testers, 12-volt testers. There's a red LED inside of here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this jumper that I've made, and I'm going to connect one end to the battery, the alligator clip. I put a fuse in it just to be ultra cautious. Put a 15 amp fuse in there. That's what size fuse is in the schematic. And then I put a female spade connector on that end. First, I want to show you, by doing the following test, we will be able to determine whether or not we are getting 12 volts on the white wire. So what I did, I took the alligator clip end, clipped it to the chassis, and I'm going to connect to the white wire here, and right now it's showing nothing. So I'm going to move the switch to the on position and let it cycle, and I'm going to touch it to the white wire again, and you'll see that there is no power. I'm going to move the key to the off position, and the light should turn red. And there you have it. The light has turned red, and it will stay on for approximately 5 to 10 seconds, and now it's gone off. And what that does is that 12 volts energizes the solenoid and pulls the armature back in the solenoid so that it can move the valve where the fuel injector, where the fuel goes into the injector manifold. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put this jumper on the common or the negative. That goes onto the black lead, and it's connected to the chassis, the same place that I connected the test light. And you can see right there, 0 volts. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the run position and connect the red wire to there. With a digital multimeter, it doesn't really matter which end you connect. you'll either get a plus 12 volts or a negative 12 volts. Just realize that your system is a 12 volt system, and it don't matter if it says positive or negative, it's 12 volts. Okay, so you can see that's 0, and I'm going to shut the key off, and in a minute it'll go to 12 volts. Oh, not getting it. Something didn't work that time. Okay, let's try this again. Take 2. All right, there it is, 12.5 volts when you move it from the on position to the off position. I just didn't have it connected, and there you saw it go back to 0. The timer on the relay timed out, and then that put it back to 0. That way your battery doesn't drain. So, okay, so referring back to the photograph I'm going to show here, there's a pigtail here that plugs into that white wire. The pigtail is black, and what we're going to do is we're going to connect. So I got me a long lead here, and the purpose of this lead is to connect to the black lead on the solenoid, and I'm going to go directly to, now the solenoid's grounded through the chassis and the engine, and that's the way it is. It's only one wire connected to it. The other wire is the body of the solenoid. So this positive is the only thing it needs to activate, and I'm going to zoom down here. Let's go down. Turn the light on. Let's try that other light. It's a little better. So I'm going to touch this lead to the, I don't know if you'll be able to see that armature down there or not, but I'm going to watch it and watch to see if it goes in. And it doesn't go in. That solenoid is very close to the fan blade. Do not, under any circumstance, stick your fingers into that fan blade. So, you know, if you do this, if you try this on your own, you're doing it at your own risk, as I did. So, hey, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. If you think, if you had this problem and I helped you isolate the problem, do me a favor, hit the subscribe. Do me a favor, hit the like, give me a thumbs up, and tell a friend. My videos aren't the most polished. They're not meant to be polished. I'm not sponsored by anyone, not looking to be sponsored. I just like sharing information with people, and I like to hear myself talk. So, that being said, we're going to wrap this up, call it a night, and thank you all once again. This is Bota Bob saying until next time, cheers.